Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to our tiny home. Now I know this isn't an apartment per se. We live full-time in this Airstream, 22 feet. I don't know, what is that, roughly 22 feet times 6? I don't know, doesn't matter. It's really small. And one of the questions that I've gotten forever and ever and ever is, can you have big German Shepherds in a small apartment or a small house? Well, if you've been following long enough, you know that we used to have this really massive house. No, it was still bigger than the Airstream. You coming, pup? You coming? Is it easier to have them in a house or a larger house than, say, an apartment or an RV or an Airstream or whatever? Absolutely. I'm not gonna lie. It was definitely easier when I could just take them out back into our own property, our own fenced-in yard, and I didn't have to worry about things. That being said, it's totally doable if you're willing to get creative and put in the work. So we're gonna go over some of the things that I've done and altered a little bit to make living in a small space with big dogs easier. The thing is though, if we were to go back into a house tomorrow, I would still do all of these, because when you have small space, you have to be creative. And that's something that when you have like a house and a fenced-in yard and everything, you really don't have, you can kind of be lazy. And since I've had to be creative, I've come up with some, I don't know, I think some decent ideas that I want to share with you all. You gonna share? You gonna share them? All right, so the first tip, we're gonna actually go back a little ways because I did it before we came out here, and that is flea and tick spray. So this is what we're gonna use. Oh, does it smell okay? Enzo. We get all under the belly. Now, I always did a flea and tick spray when we would go on hikes, but obviously when you live in places like this, beautiful Utah right now, you know, I need to do it every day. And while the stuff I had worked just fine, now that we're in a smaller space, I had to get a little bit more creative. Having the spray bottles was an issue, so I found this kind, and it is in the aerosol can, so it's less prone to leaking. Plus, it smells a whole lot better, frankly. The second tip has to do with the towels that you saw me using. Now, if you go back in our videos, I've always had these towels. I've always used these when we had a house, but I've had to tweak it a little bit and get a little bit more creative since I can't do laundry whenever I want. You know, I can only wash the pup towels once every week or two. I had to get a little creative, so I do have a little drying rack, which I wish I would have had back in the day. Obviously, I put mine outside. You could probably just put yours inside, even if you are in a small apartment or something. Or if like you have a balcony or anything, it works great. Because if it does actually rain, which here in Utah, we actually have ran into the rain for the first time in months, whatever, I just leave them out again. Eventually it'll get sunny and they dry. Side note though is, you know, when we had a house and I would use the stuff to wipe them down, I would throw it in with the towels and do the laundry, no big deal. When you live this lifestyle and I can only do laundry every couple weeks, that is not a good idea. So if your lifestyle or whatever, maybe you don't have washer and dryer, so maybe you have to wait several days to go to a laundromat, whatever. You might want to either use paper towels or throw the towel out even, because if that stuff sits on there for too long, it really gets in there and it is hard to get out in the wash. Yeah, it's a mess. Don't do that. Yep, I've been carting those Cots around for what, like 13 states? Bonus tip, they actually make camping cots for dogs. They're really expensive. I do want to get some. I've been carrying these around. I am able to make them fit in the truck. I would definitely look into some smaller options if you have the money to spend on it. You want Precious? Is that what it is? Him steal it? Hey, you need another one? All right, my third tip, a shed. Whether you have 2,000 feet or 200 feet, they shed regardless. They don't seem to care. In a smaller space, that shedding can get pretty bad pretty quickly. So I actually will blow out their fur fairly often to kind of help with that. As for my third tip, I'm gonna give you a little demonstration. Anything that I'm talking about in this video, if I mention something like this, I will link it below. I do want to say that I don't think they make this particular model anymore because somebody asked me about it recently and I couldn't find it. So if I can't find it, I'll put whatever the closest thing is. But Shepherds have 2 coats. You can't shave them or anything, but you can blow out the coat. That's usually why if you take them to the groomer, they seem so nice and they don't seem to shed as much for a couple days because they actually blow out their undercoat. You can do it though with this. It may, if your shepherd's older and you haven't done anything like this, obviously it may take a little bit of time to get used to it. If you have a puppy, start younger. Don't blow it in their ears. Don't blow it in their face, obviously. I'll give you a little demonstration. All right, who wants to be my model for this? Enzo, you gonna be the model? It also works good for after hikes because ticks, generally, if they get on a pup, they like to move around for like an hour or so. So if you do that when you get home, you might just blow them off altogether. So yeah, it's good for getting dirt, dust off. It's good for drying them if you give them a bath yourself. And it's good for de-shedding. The next tip has to come with their water bowls. Now, again, this is another one of those things that I've used since we had a house, but it is especially important in a small space. You know, one day their bowl had gotten dirty. And I was like, I'll wash it in a minute. I'll just give them a regular bowl. Yeah, that's not a good idea. When you only have, less than 200 square feet and there's splashing water around, everything gets wet really quickly. So these bowls aren't perfect, but they make a huge difference. The water bowl that I like to use, which I've been using since we had a house, is this one right here. It is an anti-spill bowl. Now Lotus still has a pretty good skill in that he can put the water in his mouth and then, truck it everywhere. But, yeah, like that. But I will say that this does way better than a traditional bowl, for sure. Everyone go back outside? Oh, you need to get more drinkies? Okay. All right, ready to go back out? Go on. You working on the suntan? Work on the tan? You happy to have grass again? No, we didn't have grass for months. It's nice, huh? There are dogs that stay at home and there are dogs that go everywhere with you. As you can imagine, mine typically go everywhere with me. And shepherds in general, they tend to just be that breed that people like to take places, which is good. If you've been following along long enough, we used to have an FJ with a hitch step that they could get in and out with. As I got the truck in preparation for the Airstream, I struggled with some different options. And for a while, I used like a step for them to get up and stuff, which was fine because I'd just throw it in the truck bed and leave it in the driveway and different things. Once the house sold and space got limited, I had to get a little bit more creative. And that's when I discovered this step stool, which I absolutely love. And in fact, if I had a house again, not only would I still use it for them getting in and out of the car, but I would have like a second one just to have in the house. Definitely one of my favorite things, and I'll show it to you right now. Now, we're not actually going anywhere. I'm just going to show them the step. It just goes like that. And then they can get in and out. Let me pick it up. Just like that. Would you please stop using the solar panel for your ball? All right, my last tip has to do with exercise. Shepherds require a lot of exercise. Hopefully you know this by now. Obviously, I'm at a bit of an advantage. Yes, my house is probably smaller than yours, but my house is also wherever I need it to be. And oftentimes in beautiful locations like this where we can literally walk outside and be in the middle of nowhere. You may not have that luxury, but it doesn't change the fact that they need exercise. Now, there are a couple ways you can go about doing this. You gonna go get it? It's leaving. You gonna go get it? We'll go on. So this isn't actually something I do. This is actually something that Robert Cabral does. If you don't know, we partner with him for online training. So if you want to do some online training, I'll leave the link down below. But you can actually get specially made treadmills. Now, I don't have room for a treadmill. And it really just doesn't matter with my lifestyle because we have the entire world to ourselves. But if you're in a situation like an apartment or such, obviously outdoor exercise is still vitally important. Plus they have to go to the bathroom and everything else. But it is an option. So yes, absolutely, you can have shepherds in a small house, a small apartment, an RV, whatever. You just got to be willing to get a little creative, and no matter what, you gotta exercise them. So if you have any questions about this lifestyle or shepherds or anything like that, as always, comment below. I try to answer every comment, or you can DM me directly on Instagram. Otherwise, appreciate you guys as always. To all the subscribers, to all the people who like, who watch, and especially my favorite people in the world, the Patreons, who literally support us each and every month with their donations. I love you all. Good night.